Previously on Power Reviews.
And none of it had anything to do with a malfunctioning portal alignment device scattering us across dimensions, only for us to be brought back home by syncing up 4 little invisible flying cameras. Squee for me or squee for you? I think that you were starting to remember something during that panel at Power Morphicon.
The laser optic lineation cerebral array transceiver. I used it.
If I could access the space-time continuum long enough to undo what I did, I would.
You lost her! No! It's the Morpotsners.
I'll go after them. I'm getting you guys out of here.
Now what on earth?
The selective quantum utility electronic eye line shorted out. This is your second date.
I'm a synth-organic biomeganoid. After everything that happened while I was caught in that other dimension, can I even really be trusted?
You are incapable of being anyone but yourself.
Thanks, guy.
You've got it.
And now, Database Rangers Power Review.
Greetings, Ranger fans, and welcome to Phase 3.
Got it.
Got what?
The original selective quantum utility electronic eye line is finally back online.
Well, that's great. Everything's fine then?
Hardly. I'm still working on the Mark IV, and since you departed, the Mark II and the Mark III have both gone offline.
Any clue what might be going on?
None, and I don't like it. Ever since last year's upgrades, the selective quantum utility electronic eye lines have been equipped with enough shielding to deal with electromagnetic pulse bursts, transdimensional backlash, biofield energy surges. Nothing should be able to disable them like this.
Well, that's unsettling. Anything I can do to help?
Yes, we need to recalibrate.
You mean do a review?
Once we've completed restoring full functionality, it should be able to network with the other 3 units and recall them to the apartment for further inspection.
Sounds like a plan. Shall we?
Indeed.
Wait.
What?
If we're going to do this, let's do it right. Leave your lab coat behind.
Fine.
Greetings, Ranger fans.
Salutations.
And welcome to Power Reviews.
Now let's commence with episode 10 of...
Actually,
What?
I've reviewed 3 episodes since leaving the apartment.
Of course you have. In that case, let us commence with episode 13 of Power Rangers Super Megaforce.
The grass is always greener. Or bluer. In the school computer lab, Noah is working on the latest upgrade to their arsenal, when he's suddenly interrupted by the arrival of Jake.
Which begs the question, not only why he would entrust a public computer with this kind of sensitive data, but also why he would insist upon a screen which is facing the unlocked door.
I guess some people are just very trusting. Anywho, Jake is apparently promised to take Emma to the Butterfly Sanctuary, but is having second thoughts, for some reason, and insists that Noah take his place.
However, Megaforce Blue has more pressing matters to attend to, as he has planned to transfer his new schematics to their robot assistant Tensu for the purposes of upgrading their Super Mega Blasters.
And since Orion is apparently busy at the Brain Freeze, Jake has no choice but to end up as Emma's pack mule, hauling all her gear across town while she skips around and plays Shutterbug.
Isn't life beautiful?
Well, isn't she just a little ray of sunshine?
But the moment they hear sounds of trouble, they're quick to ditch Emma's gear and morph to Mega to investigate.
They discover a new monster leading a squadron of X-Borgs in an assault upon an ambassadorial entourage, and quickly upgrade to Super Mega Mode to come to their defense.
Get the ambassador out of here!
Sir, come on! Where do you think you're going?
Good question!
Now to switch your mind with this bruisers, then we'll infiltrate your government!
Yes, and which government is that exactly?
And since when does the Armada care at all about subterfuge?
Regardless, despite the staggering incompetence of his security detail, the ambassador is spared thanks to the arrival of Super Megaforce Red, Blue, and Yellow.
Jake and Noah team up to take down the monster, swapping their weapons around to get the drop on him, until he decides to pull a swap of his own.
I wanted to swap the ambassador! Guess I'll swap you two instead!
Why?
So this episode can have a subplot? Anywho, the monster hightails it out of there, and the others quickly demorph to check on Jake and Noah, who come to the sudden, terrifying realization that they have now switched bodies. And apparently eyesight as well.
I think it was the monster's attack. They switched bodies.
Guess I'll swap you two instead!
Was that really necessary? These events transpired a mere 51 seconds prior to this recollection.
It's gotta be a record or something.
And then, when they attend school the following morning, they make no attempt whatsoever to mask their transference of persona.
Looking good, bro. Thanks. It's the only decent thing I could find in your closet.
Do I want to know why Jake has Noah's clothes in his closet?
You just gotta be more confident, alright? Look. Stand up straight. Alright? Smile.
What on earth is the point of all this? It certainly can't be an attempt to behave more naturally in their respective host bodies, since they can't even be bothered to get their own names correct.
Who knows which galaxy our solar system is in? Jake?
Yes, Mr. Burley. The Milky Way galaxy.
That's correct.
And this is intolerable.
Noah, did you have a question?
Oh, no, Mr. Burley.
Thank you, Jake.
You're welcome.
Even once they do start to realize what they've been doing, that still doesn't stop Noah as Jake from piping up.
There are 8 planets, Mr. Burley.
That's correct. You've been studying, I see.
I knew all the planetary celestial bodies by age 3.
And yet still, no one catches on to this. Even when Mr. Burley calls Jake as Noah into his office after class, it's just to find out why Noah didn't raise his hand, without once asking anything about his change of clothes, his lack of glasses, or why he suddenly started responding to the name Jake.
Not that the Megaforce Rangers are any more focused.
I thought there were 9 planets.
Pluto's one of several trans-Neptunian objects that's no longer classified as a planet, along with Eris, Quaoar, and Varuna.
Pretty impressive.
What?
Oh, nothing.
Okay, I'm not sure if this is saying that Gia's only attracted to Noah when he's in Jake's body, or she's only attracted to Jake when he has Noah's mind, but either way, this makes 3 episodes in a row of really uncomfortable subtext. Nice job.
Aboard the Armada flagship, the prince is highly disappointed with the monster's failure, but his subordinates do remind him that he should be given an opportunity to take advantage of the confusing new predicament.
Meanwhile, in the Mega Cave, Noah as Jake resumes his work on their new double-key Super Mega Blaster, as all the other Rangers comment on how weird the whole body swap is, without actually doing anything to help out. They seem to be developing an odd habit of that lately. Anywho, for now, finishing and testing out the new blaster is their top priority for some reason, even higher than making sure that their 6th teammate even knows what's going on.
Tensu, have you located Orion?
Not yet, Dosei. He's not answering his morpher and I can't seem to get a lock on his signal.
Has Super Megaforce Silver been kidnapped off screen?
No, I think Tensu is just that incompetent.
Fair enough. So as they test out their newest weapon on the local rock formation, the Armada forces grow impatient with transfer and simply decide to send a different monster down instead. I'd comment here on how patience is a virtue, were I not far more interested in knowing why they've only sent individual monsters thus far, if secondary commanders were always a possibility. Especially when their Maximizer device was established during its introduction as being able to expand multiple creatures simultaneously.
Don't worry about that! Just prepare to be destroyed!
It's as if he were speaking directly to my sense of rationality.
The Rangers quickly dispense with the X-Borgs, but the monster himself proves to be quite a bit tougher, with a pair of shielded arms that's able to not only shrug off their final strike, but shorts out Noah's new blaster as well. So they quickly morph to the alien Rangers of Aquitar to teleport away. Because apparently now they need legendary Ranger modes to do what they were able to do unmorphed in the very first episode. Back at the Mega Cave, Noah as Jake realizes that he was wrong to think he would be able to build a strong enough weapon alone, and the only way for them to succeed is to build it together. Even though that wasn't established as a lesson he needed to learn, and all the other Rangers do is feed and massage him during a montage while he continues to work on it himself.
Oh, great. What now?
The monster's back.
Which one?
You know, considering that they're standing right in front of him, you would think that this would be a good time for Gosei to say something. And you would be wrong.
Apparently, the returning monster is the one that never actually retreated, as 4 of the Rangers keep him and the Bruisers busy with their Power Rangers Jungle Fury legendary modes, while their comrade continues his work on their new weapon.
But when the monster's shell deflects yet another attack, the Rangers decide to step things up with the Dragon Powers of Legendary mode. And no, they're not referring to Mighty Morphin Green, Mighty Morphin Red, Dino Thunder White, Samurai Blue, or Mystic Force in general. They are instead referring to yet another random Sentai team. In this case, Dengeki Sentai Changeman. Because that's a so much better option than what I just described. Plus Red Mask for a quick second, because why not?
Fortunately, it's at that moment that Super Mega Blue, as Super Mega Green, arrives with their new weapon, the Super Mega Cannon, which utilizes the power of all 5 of their Ranger keys to finally penetrate the monster's shell.
Why didn't I destroy you when I had the chance?
Good question.
They destroyed his shell, but it's indestructible.
Your first statement invalidates the second.
But things aren't over yet, as Vicar still hasn't completely forgotten about Transfer's mission.
Crashing the summit should get the Rangers' attention.
What summit? And why would he want their attention? I thought this mission was about infiltration.
Of course, this is when the Rangers literally crash the summit along with...
Sorry I'm late to the party.
But instead of bothering to ask why Orion couldn't make it to their last shindig, they focus on getting the Armada forces away from the civilians, by blasting them out the same direction that the civilians just escaped through.
They resume their battle out in the city plaza, the only apparent detriment of Super Megaforce Green and Blue's predicament being the utter confusion of Super Megaforce Yellow.
I'll back you up, Jake.
I'm Noah.
Thanks, Noah.
I'm Noah.
Sorry. Thanks, Jake.
Wait, who is who again?
Doesn't matter.
Clearly. Especially since their sidearms are already uniform to begin with, and weapons exchange is already part of their standard operating procedure.
At least they're finally able to put an end to all this confusion with a two-man green and yellow key Super Mega Saber Blast Final Strike, defeating Transfer and restoring them to their old bodies.
Hey, you back to normal?
Was he even aware that anything was wrong to begin with?
Well, hopefully there won't be any other random gaps of logic as the Rangers summon the legendary and Blue Rex Megazords to battle the now maximized Transfer.
You've unlocked the powers of Ninja Storm.
Have they even used the powers of Ninja Storm?
Not since the season premiere, they haven't.
They summon this new Ninja Zord and combine to form the legendary Ninja Megazord, sending the monster flying before spontaneously generating even more of this unearned addition to their arsenal for a final strike to destroy the creature once and for all.
And with that over with, we finally get an explanation for where Orion was this whole time.
Sorry I joined so late. I just was so busy fixing my pod, I just didn't hear my morpher going off.
Yet another proud Sixth Ranger tradition. All he needs to do now is lose his powers or turn evil to get a free froyo.
This is when Super Megaforce Pink recalls their previously planned excursion to the Butterfly Sanctuary, causing Super Megaforce Green to attempt to pass himself off as Super Megaforce Blue once more, a ploy which, of course, fails miserably.
And that's the end of the episode. So, what did we think of it?
Well, that was patently ridiculous. I'm not even certain who was the most oblivious here. The Rangers, who failed to obscure their neural transference, the teacher, who failed to notice this transference, or the villains, who couldn't even seem to decide what their actual plan was supposed to be. It was like a non-stop parade of incompetence.
Well, to be fair to the Rangers, they did manage to bust out 2 new weapons this episode.
And remind me how they did that again?
Through invoking the power of teamwork without actually following through on it to create the first, and then doing absolutely nothing to earn the second.
Exactly.
But honestly, the biggest thing that holds this episode back from being as enjoyably nonsensical as the last 2 is the way it fails to really deliver on its premise. While they do successfully convey Noah's intelligence and eagerness in class, they also try to play him as slouching, dour, and lacking in social confidence, none of which have ever been displayed in the past. And no, social confidence and confidence in battle are not the same thing. Meanwhile, Jake is portrayed as an extremely confident and swaggering social butterfly, when he's generally been shown as a bumbling goofball who never interacts with anyone outside of his fellow Rangers. Oddly enough, the end result feels less like 2 characters who have switched bodies, and more like the characters behaving according to their perceptions of one another, when that is in fact what they should be doing, just the other way around, because they switched bodies and they should be trying to hide it, but they're not, so I've lost my train of thought.
Clearly.
But that does bring me around to another point. Body language. One challenge that Power Rangers has always faced has been to match the personalities of their suit actors to the personalities of their character actors, and it's a challenge that they rarely actually rise to. Sometimes these discrepancies can work to create an added layer of psychological dichotomy, like the normally introverted Andros taking on an almost Spider-Man-like confidence and snark when morphed. But more often than not, we get things like Carter randomly giving Kelsey a noogie, or Tommy jumping up and down like a 10-year-old boy. But Megaforce and Super Megaforce have been dealt an added challenge not seen since the late 90s, and that is having to adapt a single cast of characters to 2 clearly different sets of suit actors. And each of them has had a very different transition from one set to the other. Emma, as the Pink Ranger, has come through largely unscathed, while G as Yellow Ranger has gone from a younger, more impulsive stance to one that more closely aligns with her aggressive yet coolly confident demeanor. Jake and Noah have been through a more obvious change, going from fairly nondescript Megaforce modes to their exceptionally goofy green and exceptionally stoic blue super modes, which fortunately aligned reasonably well with Jake's jokester persona coming through and Noah evolving into a more confident fighter. And then we have Troy, who was probably handled in the worst way possible. Where he was originally presented as stoic in his civilian form and more excited and inspirational as the Red Megaforce Ranger, the change over to Super Megaforce gave him a much more cool and confident Ranger form, but still the exact same excited vocal performance, with an arguably more expressive civilian form. Basically, they had an Andros-like dichotomy in the works, and were given the opportunity to bring his morph persona closer in line with his unmorphed persona, and just ended up swapping them instead.
I somehow feel as though we've strayed from our main topic of discussion.
Oh, right, body swaps, yes. This all ties together into the use of Sentai footage. The problem with this episode specifically is that the whole point of combining two different Sentai plots was to provide a reason for the Green Ranger to be the one who develops the Super Mega Cannon. But despite the creative combination of concepts, it still doesn't play for the simple reason that the battle footage in question doesn't reflect the switch they chose to employ.
Very true. Overall, despite a mildly inventive reinterpretation of the source material, this installment contained far too many illogical character choices and poorly executed plot points to overlook, and unfortunately fails to live up to its potential.
And speaking of missed potential, that unnamed monster was credited as Turtellini. How do you come up with a name like that and then not say it out loud?
I have no idea. But until next time,
farewell, Ranger fans, and let the power protect you.
And that should complete our calibrations. So all that remains is to wait for the system to complete its recall of the remaining selective quantum utility electronic eye lines.
Great. So, maybe now we can finish our conversation from earlier?
I was afraid you'd say that.
Come on, Kay. I already know all about the Vengex virus and everything you went through to stop it. Compared to that, what could be so bad about November 20th, 1998?
It was the day that Alphabet Soup took me.
Oh. So, while everyone else was off fighting the forces of Dark Spectre, you were...
Yes.
Kay, I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
No, it's not. You were just a little kid, and I don't understand. What does this have to do with the Wii Pad?
That is a long story, and I'm still piecing it together, but I guess you could say that it began shortly after the defeat of Vengex. Colonel Truman and I had assigned Eagle Squadron to root out any remaining forces which may have been left behind, and they had managed to locate an attack bot which was amassing its own army. It was Vengex's head of extra-dimensional research.
Wait, are you talking about...
Yes, Professor Cog.
But I thought you'd never seen him before we did that PMC panel.
Somehow I'd forgotten him, and everything else which occurred between the defeat of Vengex and my arrival here. But seeing him again, it all started to come back. Everything that was unlocked by the laser optic lineation cerebral array transceiver. How Scott had chased him to another dimension. How we'd encountered the Samurai Rangers and sent them back. Jem and Gemma had infiltrated one of Cog's laboratories, and the technology that they found there...
What's that?
A distress signal, but who could...
Dr. K! Dr. K, do you read me?
Mayo? What's wrong?
You've got to get out of there. Now!
Why? What is it?
It's DB!
What are you...
It's not him! Dr. K? Dr. K, did you hear me? That's not DB! Hello?